Hi, welcome to this episode of Gridiron TV. I'm your host, Stuart Young. And on tonight's show, we're going to be joined by a very special guest, Gordon Galloway, who's a referee for BAFRA. We're also going to be introducing our new co-presenter, so stay tuned for that one. Also, we'll be talking about the playoff structure for the University League and the games coming up this weekend. And also, we've got a massive announcement for Gridiron TV. So don't go away, we'll be right back. Welcome back to Gridiron TV. I'm now joined by our new co-presenter, Alan Price. Alan, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Welcome on board. Yeah. I mean, obviously, I know you from our playing days. I've known you for many years now. But go and tell us a little bit more about yourself and what your involvement is in football.
Yeah, sure. So I've been playing for around about 8 or 9 years now, based in Edinburgh. Played in the senior leagues and also university leagues. Really just getting involved in doing every different position. I've also been involved in coaching as well, and some of the management side, working with equipment, working with staff as well. So love the sport, just love being here. It's great to get involved in something like this as well.
You had to retire last season because of injury to your
right.
back. How's that holding up?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. It's good to have some time off, do something different. See the game from a different angle now, get to look at it from the sidelines. But I still support the team, they're training hard, and yeah, I'm doing okay, thanks. Good.
I mean, obviously, you're going to bring something, experience to the show as well, which we really sort of need. Tell us what you're going to do to try and get involved in the show and what people can expect from you as a presenter.
Well, I mean, I think it's so important to really just spread the word about American football in Britain itself, at the university level, at senior level, at junior level, at the kids level. A lot of people are kind of starting to hear about it, but they're not too sure. So I think it'd be great if I can, help people hear what's going on every week, work with scores, try and let the voices have a bit of the teams have a bit of a voice as well, so they can tell everyone where they are and who they are.
Yeah, I mean, quite right as well. I mean, it's the fourth time teams started to get a mention on shows like this, and there's websites out there and fantastic ones at that. But getting a TV channel put together and also discussing teams and giving them a chance for people to get involved in the sport in general. Thanks to Alan there for introducing himself to the show. Don't go away, Gridiron TV will be right back. We'll be talking to Gordon Galloway from the British American Football Referees Association. Also, I'll be chatting to Alan further about the up-and-coming playoff games this weekend and also how the playoff structure is going to pan out over the coming weeks. So stay tuned. Hi, welcome back to Gridiron TV. I'm now joined by Gordon Galloway from the British American Football Referees Association. Gordon, welcome to the show.
Hiya, thanks for having me.
How's things for yourself?
It's good, it's good. University season's on at the moment, and games every week. Yeah, it's good fun.
I mean, we spoke briefly off camera there. You've been doing the university games for the last few weeks now. That's going to be coming to an end. Are you looking forward to the senior games starting straight after?
Yeah, we'll get a wee bit of a break. We've got our own referees convention coming up at the end of this month, and then following that, it's straight into the senior season.
So where's the convention being held?
Convention's been held down in Coventry, and it's just basically every BAFRA official can come to the convention. We have breakout sessions, we have rules talks, we have mechanics talks. It's a very good weekend, very well run.
Is that up until players and coaches?
No, unfortunately, it's just for the officials, yeah.
Would it not be good to maybe try and open it up to players and coaches? Give players and coaches understanding what you guys do and how you prepare for the season ahead?
Right, well, I mean, it's something that can be looked at, but having said that, we've got clinics that we can run with individual teams. BAFRA officials are quite happy to go along before the start of the season. A few guys have training camps and things like that. We'll go along, we'll talk about the rules, we'll talk about mechanics, and just generally trying to help the teams to learn a wee bit more about the rules, you know?
Of course. I mean, obviously, I've known you for a few years now, and I've played in games that you've officiated. What made you? I mean, how long? How long have you been in the game for? I mean, how did you start off in American football?
I started off in American football way back in 1984. Blimey.
I think I was still in primary school then.
Thanks. It was basically, it was an ad in the paper, in the Edinburgh Evening News. It was an ad in the paper for the Edinburgh Eagles, well, an American football team in Edinburgh. And I thought, I fancy that. That sounds good fun, you know. And went along and basically just went from there, you know. Played the game, played quarterback, 12 years, had 1 or 2 injuries, 1 or 2 knee operations, and eventually had to retire. Coached for a wee while, and then thought, right, I can give something back to the game now.
Yeah.
Let's talk about officiating. You know, let's become a referee.
So what made you decide to make that transition from a player with 12 years experience to becoming a referee?
I wanted to be involved in the game, and I wanted to be involved in on the field, if you want. But the only way you're going to, there's 2 ways you can do that. You can either play or you can officiate. I'm only going to play. Okay. My wife just, no, simple as that. So I thought, right, officiating, we'll do that. And it's the same old story, you know, everybody thinks they know the rules until you actually sit down with a rule book and you look at the rules and you think, wow, it's a lot more in depth than a lot of people think, you know.
I mean, it would not be good to maybe try and, you know, you talking about clinics. I mean, obviously, it's not good to maybe referees to go down to maybe individual training sessions if you can, when teams are preparing for pre-season, to maybe try and say, right guys, here's what we want to see from players. Because I know, I've played soccer myself and I've played American football, and I certainly don't see any back chat when it comes to American football. And players are very, very disciplined, so there's no issue in that respect. But would it not be good to maybe for referees to go along and do like clinics where they can maybe say to players, this is what we expect from you as referees on game day? Yeah.
I would love for that to happen. I mean, I don't have a problem going to any team that basically want me there and say, right, this is how it happens, this is how you line up. One of the biggest faults, if you want, that players can get involved in is whether they're wide receiver, certainly, whether they're on or off the line prior to the snap. And it's very, very simple. You just ask the official that's on the wing, on the line, off line, because that is one of the penalties that just makes the head coach just boil, because it's just so silly. It's a needless 5 yards.
I've been caught a few times with that one.
Well, it's and it's not happening as much. So you know, the players are getting more disciplined, and they are coming up. They are asking the wing officials on the line, off the line, sir, and that's perfect. And it's things like that. I'll come along to training sessions, you know. And like I said earlier, if it helps the teams, great, because if it helps the teams, it helps me, it helps my fellow officials, and it helps to bring the game up. You know, it raises the standard of the game, and
it stops any confusion during games, doesn't it?
It does. That's right. Yeah, that's right. Because you know, if we all know that American football is, you know, like what was it? Vince Lombardi once called it violent chess. And if one person doesn't do their job, one player doesn't do their job, then the whole thing just goes wrong. And if the players on the wings, if they know that they're off the line or they're on the line, something as simple as that does make a big difference. You know, if the play's coming that way, they can then block. If it's not coming that way, they can then get open, catch the pass, whatever they have to do. So it helps everybody. You know, just a silly wee thing like that.
I mean, what's your? I mean, look at you. How long have you been refereeing for now?
This is my 7th year.
Your 7th year. I mean, through 7 years, and also playing for 12 years, so 19 years altogether. What has been your biggest challenge as a referee?
Biggest challenge as a referee. On the field, it's staying out of the way of the players. And I think there are a lot of, you know, my fellow officials, and there's a lot of players that will vouch for that.
I've seen you took that knee injury.
that was one of my darker moments, you know. It's reading the play, you know, and I think the playing experience that I have or had, that helps a wee, because you know if it's going to be a pass, you know if it's going to be a run, and if it's coming your way, then just basically, you know, you can get out of the way. Just maybe that second quicker than you would if you were a non-playing official.
So obviously you don't want to avoid any more injuries, basically.
Oh no, please no. No thanks, I've had enough.
That's fine. No, I totally understand that, and it was a nasty one as well. But everything is okay now.
Everything's fine. Yeah, I mean, I had the fine. I had a series of surgeries, and the last surgery I had there 2.5, 3 years ago. Wonderful. I used to have to wear big knee braces when I officiated, and I don't have to do that now, and it's great. You know, so the Roboref nickname is gone, but you know it's still going to stay with me forever. I think so.
Of course it is. I mean, obviously, the other thing I want to have a chat with you today about as well, and I don't know if you can answer this question or not, but I mean, obviously, we'll look at rule changes, and we discussed a few things off camera. But I mean, is there going to be any rule changes this year for the Senior League?
Right. There are going to be rule changes this year, but at the moment, it's something that we can't. I'm not saying we can't discuss. We'll have to get everything finalised. We'll be getting an announcement at our convention, and then the coaches and players will be getting told what's going to happen after that. So yes, there are going to be changes, but for the time being,
yeah, of course.
We can't
no, I
say
appreciate
too much.
That. I respect that.
No,
you don't want to give anything out, obviously, that it's not definite and
well, that's it. Yeah,
set in stone, basically. So that's fine.
Yeah.
I'll put you on the spot again. Then if you could change a rule in the sport, what would it be and why?
Change a rule, right? This is the kind of rule that's going to please defensive backs, but it's going to annoy wide receivers. I would do away with pass interference. It's a physical game. The defender's got as much right to the ball as the attacking player, and if they tangle up, they tangle up. It's as simple as that. I think it makes for a bit more exciting plays. You know, if you get the big long bomb and the two players are grappling and they're trying to pull each other back and things like that. At the moment, unfortunately, it's a penalty. But you know, if that kind of thing was, if that one penalty was taken away, I think we'd see a lot more exciting plays. Yeah. It might border a wee bit on the ice hockey kind of thing, you know, but it's.
But you're right enough, though. It's a contact sport at the end of the day, and you know, I think a lot of rules are put in place to protect players, and rightfully so, because I mean, our players do get seriously injured, and we talked about, you know, we're talking about face cage. You know, holding a face mask, and we saw a guy who broke his leg because of that once, and it was his first down, and it was first game, and broke his leg. Now, I mean, obviously, you know, just clarify with us on the face cage then. I mean, because we spoke, and you were talking about potential penalty rules for that. I mean, what about face cages do we need to avoid, and what would you want to see changed to that?
I think that a face mask is a 15-yard penalty. Okay, now it's only a face mask penalty if it's grasped, twisted or pulled. Okay, if a ball carrier is fending off a defender, if he's given a stiff arm, then and he makes contact with a face mask, that's legal. Okay, but as soon as he grasps, that's a penalty.
Yeah,
it's as simple as that.
So the basic rule is if you grasp, pull or twist,
you're going to see the wee yellow duster flying out.
Right. Okay. So as long as that's clarified, because you do see it a lot, and I spoke to you. There was a high tackle during the Stirling Klansman Edinburgh Predators game that wasn't seen, and I'm sure that's difficult for you guys because we spoke. There's only 9 referees in Scotland. I don't know how many there is in England. If you could elaborate more on that.
I think there's about 110 officials in England.
110. So they've got quite a lot. There's only 9 in Scotland, and it's difficult for you guys to try and officiate games to the level you would want to be. But that's because you need eyes on the game. And if you've got 3 officials, as we spoke about off camera as well, at any one game, it's difficult for them to officiate that effectively. What are you needing from people in the football community to try and improve that? We
need more bodies. It's as simple as that. You know, they went down the road of the team judges a few seasons ago, and you know, for whatever reasons, it wasn't as successful as a lot of people had hoped for. But BAFRA as an organisation, and certainly in Scotland, we need more bodies. And it's not like soccer referees. I watch soccer games, and the abuse that the referees and the assistants have to take, I think is criminal. And you're right in what you said earlier on. You know, you don't get that in our game. Yeah, you occasionally get somebody loses their temper, which, you know, in the heat of the moment, it does happen. You know, you can. It's a physical game. It's an emotional game. You know, so I mean that kind of thing does happen. But we need the more eyes we have on a play or a game, then the less penalties, the less chances of injury, and the more flowing the game becomes. And then if it becomes more flowing, you get better quality of plays, you get better quality of the passing game, and that's going to introduce sponsors, and that's going to introduce money into the game, and it's just, you know, it just goes on and on and on and on.
Do you think Specsavers would sponsor you?
No comment.
I mean, obviously, you're right what you say. I mean, if you go out there with 4 officials, ideally, how many would you need in a game?
Well, four officials is that's the standard. I mean, obviously, you know, you can get a maximum of 7-man crew, okay, and that's in an ideal situation. and you know, wherever possible, that happens for like the bowl weekend, the college games, the college championship games. Sorry, but during the season, 4 officials. That's your normal crew, and 4 officials. We will see 95% of everything that goes on. Yeah. Because we all have our specific jobs, we all have our specific roles. We don't. At the end of a game, I'll come off and I'll seek out somebody that's in the crowd or something. You know, was that a good game? That's the first question I ask, because I don't see the game. As officials, we don't see the game. Yeah. We see parts of the game. We see where the ball carrier is. We see where the wide receivers are. We see where the linemen are. We don't actually, if it's a big long pass, we don't see the quarterback dropping back, we don't see the graceful spiral 60 yards down the field, we don't see the athletic catch, and we don't see the touch, we don't see the you know, crossing the goal line and such, like all in one act. We see a bit, you know, at stage. You know, if I'm running down the sideline, all I'm doing is watching the receiver and watching the defender. I mean, what do you think the reason is that you don't see enough players making, you know, retired players, whether it's injury or just through age, just decide to retire? What's the reason why they're not making the transition to become a referee and trying to help the sport? Well, I mean, obviously everybody's got their own personal agenda as to why, you know, when they stop playing, because it's, I'm not going to say it's a natural progression, but if it's somebody who wants to stay involved in the game, and it's you know, as I keep saying, it's one of the best seats in the house, you know, as far as officiating. And I think just people have this stigma about a referee. You know, he's a man in the middle, he's a man in black, or the man in black and white, and they just, you know, the hassles and the just everything that they have to go through during a game, and it doesn't happen on a regular basis. You know, like I said earlier, you get players that mouth off and think, nah, it's fine. You know, you throw a penalty and you get them back 15 yards. They're not going to say it again. No, that's true. Because unlike soccer, in American football, if you penalise one player, it's the whole team that get penalised. It's not just that player. You know, it's not just a free kick at that spot. It's 10 yards back. It's 15 yards back. It's an ejection. It's, you know, whatever. And we can help the teams by doing the clinics and saying, right, you know, don't talk back. You're going to get 50% of the team unhappy, and you're going to get 50% of the team happy with a call. That's just human nature, and we have to get everybody happy. You know, and it's never going to happen. It's not going to happen. But you're going to get, if somebody doesn't like the call, screaming and shouting, it's not going to affect. And you're not going to reverse it, are you? Let's be honest. We're not going to. I mean, it can happen. You know, that you will see occasionally that the officials will all huddle together. And you know, somebody might have had a better view of the play or whatever has happened, and it has happened that the call has been reversed. You know, and we're all for fairness. We want the game to be played in the fairest possible way. But you equally want it to flow as well. You want it to flow. When people do come along to watch American football games, be it at Meadowbank, be it you know, West Coast, East Kilbride, wherever, they want to watch a game of football. They don't want to watch 4 people in black and white stripes throwing flags all afternoon, stopping the clock, stopping the play, and it just, because it then becomes... So you're asking players to try and make it a little bit easier for yourselves. Yes. I mean, obviously, to wrap things up, Gordon, I mean, if people want to get involved in refereeing throughout the whole country, whether it's England, Wales, even Ireland, I mean, even and obviously Scotland as well, how can people go about getting involved and become a referee? What is it they have to do, and do you need experience? You don't need experience. 2 of the most experienced officials in the country, in Great Britain, are in Scotland, and they've never played the game, but they've been officials for over 25 years, and they are 2 of the best. I'm not going to name names, but you know, they know who they are. I know who you're talking about. And you don't need playing experience. You know, all you need is a passion for the game, and just enjoy it. You know, and the best thing to do is, we've got our website, BAFRA.org. Just go in there, have a wee look through it, contact the local team. They can put you into in touch with the referees as well. Come along to a game, you know. Just have a chat to yourself. Just have a chat. We're very easy to spot. We're the only ones that are there with black and white stripes on. You know, we're always a winning team, as everybody always says. And yeah, just come along, have a chat.
Good.
And if you're interested, we can take it to the next level.
I mean, we'll put up a link to the website on our Facebook page, so people can go and have a look at your website.
Yeah, perfect.
Have a look at the rules and things like that and how to get involved. So, Luke, thanks very much for coming down, Gordon, and speaking to us. I wish you all the best for the rest of the uni season and obviously for the senior season. And no doubt I'll see you around sometime.
Okay,
thanks very much.
Thank you.
Well, thank you to Gordon Galloway for coming down and discussing the referees' side of the game. Don't go away, we'll be right back where myself and Alan will be talking about the playoff structure and the playoff games this weekend. Welcome back to Gridiron TV. I'm now joined again by Alan Price, our new co-presenter. Alan, you've been studying the games from the University League over the weekend and obviously looking at the playoff scenarios. Can you enlighten us a little bit more?
It's getting to that time of year now. It's just playoff time. Everyone's just about finished. There's a couple more games this weekend, so it's getting close, but it's pretty firmed up. A couple of big results there, some big scores up on the weekend, and also some tighter games as well, just within 1 or 2 scores.
What score stuck out for you at the weekend then?
The two big ones that come out are things like Birmingham. They're a perennially strong team. They've been through the playoffs. They've won a championship before. They've been really strong this year as well, so a big win for them on the weekend. And then up north, you've also got Stirling. Again, have a really strong season and a nice finish to it at the end. Putting up some big numbers on their University Senior Day.
Good. I mean, obviously there was one crazy day of American football that took place in England.
Right,
Do you want to tell us a little more about that?
Yeah, so I mean, with the university leagues, you kind of get this issue sometimes where playing in the winter, you can get some bad weather, and it means you may sometimes lose some games. You have to reschedule, and then you're presented with a challenge of, how do you fit these games in? Do you spend extra weeks at the end?
Well, of course, because they had to move the final, didn't they, back a month? So
that's right. Yeah. So it's just trying to work out how to get all these games in and play against the weather. What we had this weekend was a little bit of a slight change to what people see normally, in that they've brought games together. So some of the teams were playing 2 games together in one match, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
I'll explain that. They'd have a half of a game versus one opponent and another half against another opponent.
Yep.
So effectively counting as 2 games. So you'll have a result from the first half and then a result from the second half, and then they go against your scores for your rankings.
So that's pretty good, and that's a pretty unusual way of doing things, but obviously it's been effective, and they've had no choice really, because the weather in England has been awful with the snow and things like that.
Yeah.
So I mean, how are the playoffs looking just now then? Where are we looking? What big key games have we got this weekend?
Well, so we've got, the 4 teams that we're going to miss out this weekend, who are getting the first round bye, are the unbeaten teams. So we've got Newcastle and Birmingham in the north, and then we've got Hertfordshire and Southampton as well in the south, so they've had really strong seasons. Couple key games this weekend, like there's an Edinburgh derby, so Edinburgh Predators versus Edinburgh Napier Knights.
That's tomorrow night.
That's
and
right.
that has quite a big effect on the Northern rankings, doesn't it?
It does, because it will affect who goes through to the Challenge Trophy as well. Right now we've got Glasgow Tigers sitting in the spot just about to go through the Challenge Trophy. But given Edinburgh's results, if the Edinburgh Predators win that game, they can take that spot away from them to face Leeds in the first round of the playoffs. So
it's going to be an even bigger game and a lot more to stake than the varsity was a few weeks ago.
That's right, so it's that real keen rivalry of a normal varsity with that added bonus for the Predators, that if they can come out again, then they'll get playoff.
And there's absolutely no way in this God's earth that Pete Laird would lay down to his biggest rivals ever.
If you ever need an incentive to win a varsity game, there's one right for you.
Exactly. So I mean, what else we're looking at then for the weekend's fixtures up and coming? We're going to be covering the Loughborough Aces against the Stirling Clansmen this weekend up in the Stirling University, so we'll be covering that one. But what other ones have stuck out for you this weekend?
Well, I'll come back quickly to that Stirling one. I think they should really praise their defence this year. They've come right through in a tight schedule, and given that the number of points conceded by their defence is so low, that's kept them in that home field advantage. So, a little bit of praise goes to them just to avoid that long trip going down south to Loughborough.
Yeah, of course. I mean, that's the one trip you just don't want to make, to go down to Loughborough Aces. But then, equally, Loughborough Aces have got to travel to Scotland, and it's going to be a tough travel. It's a long journey, and obviously they've got to play against a good team who are racking up points against teams at the moment. I mean, obviously we look as well, we've got the Essex Blades at the UWE Bullets as well this weekend.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you see that one going?
I think that'll be quite tight. I mean, both of them had some really good results this year. Like I said, with travel going across the country, when you reach playoff stage, it's a lot to go through the season. You've got to work hard for games, and that does involve the travel aspect as well. So being able to go on the road and still perform well on the day and get the victory.
And we've also got the Cardiff Cobras against the OBU Panthers as well. That's going to be quite a tough game for the Panthers and Cardiff, the Cobras together. Yeah,
Cardiff coming through on that double header that we explained, playing 2 games together in one, and coming out quite well from it. So I think that'll give them a little boost of confidence to go into the playoffs, try and get that 3rd win right away.
I mean, obviously for the teams that are playing this weekend, and we were talked about the teams that have got the bye to the second week playoffs.
Yeah.
What teams do you really want? When you don't really want to be going away anywhere at this stage in the season. You want to be at home, but who should the teams be wanting to avoid?
I mean, like I said, Birmingham have always been strong. They've been here. They've done it so many times.
And not forgetting Newcastle Raiders. I mean, 8-0 for the season.
Absolutely, you can never put any of these teams out. You know, to be that successful, to go undefeated all year, you do such a good job. And you've got Hertfordshire again. They've been good in years past. You know, they know what they're doing. So they'll be really strong this year. And Southampton as well have also been in the playoffs. So.
I mean, obviously, as we mentioned, there's games tomorrow night that are going to take place that are going to affect the outcome of the Challenge Plate playoffs. So unfortunately we're not able to bring you the full fixtures of that at the moment, but certainly a couple here. We've got the Kent Falcons against the UAE Pirates. It's going to be a big game as well. So 4 good games at the moment, and we'll obviously see who's going to be in the lineup after Wednesday night's games. A lot at stake for these teams obviously, and they want to go out and win, whether it's the plate or whether it's the bowl. Absolutely. I mean, right now, if I was to put you on the spot, who would you say would be the national champions right now?
National champions overall, that's a difficult one. There's 2 or 3 really there. Just comes down to the night of performing. You know, that's a cheesy thing to say. You know, looking at maybe national final, if I have to push, maybe a Birmingham versus. I think Hertfordshire have been really strong this year. You know, been quite consistent. So. Yeah, I think I'll place my money right there, but don't quote me or anything.
I'll not ask you about the plate too much, I mean, because I didn't want to put you on the spot too much. And going back to that, Alan, about the announcement we had mentioned at the start of the show, we're actually pleased to confirm that Gridiron TV have been very kindly asked by Andy Fuller of the British University American Football League to cover the game, both the bowl game and the plate game. Obviously that's going to be taking place on the 21st of April at the John Charles Stadium in Leeds. As far as we know on the website just now, but just check that for future updates, it's £3 for adults and £1 for people who are 17 or under. So come along, support the teams, regardless if you're from the cities or the universities they're from. Come down, they've got a great deal of American football. Gridiron TV will be there, so come along and say hello to us. A big thank you to Alan Price for his first show on Gridiron TV. How did you find that, Alan?
That's fantastic, I loved it.
Good. Well, Alan's going to be on the show every week from now on, discussing about up-and-coming games from the weekend's results, and Alan will be our man on the ground at some games coming up on the University League and also the Senior League coming up as well in the new season. Also a big thank you to Gordon Galloway from the Referees Association for taking his time out to have a chat with Gridiron TV. And remember, if you want to get your team on Gridiron TV, if you want to promote your senior team or you want to promote your uni team coming up for the playoffs, get in contact with us at gridirontv@gmail.com, or we're on Facebook at Gridiron TV, or Twitter at Gridiron_TV. For myself, Alan, and all at Gridiron TV, we'd like to thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next time. Take care.
Bye-bye.